May 11th, and we're happy to have you with us on our XPian News Daily Report. Today we're going to have Captain Rich Forney of the Salvation Army Aurora Corps going to be visiting with us and giving us some updates on what's happening with the Army in Aurora. And Salvation Army has just been with Aurora for many years, and we just love the Salvation Army. And so I'm going to bring up Captain Rich. And there's Captain Rich. Thank you for joining us, Captain Rich.
Glad to be here.
I'm going to knock down the barrier between us here. Yeah. Good to see you here, sir. And we're going to just get right going here with Captain. He's doing so many things in Aurora. I've known him for a few years now. You want to give us a little history of this Aurora Corps, about when it came about? I think I heard something about 103 years. Is that right?
Actually, it's over 130 years.
Oh, 30.
That's okay. Three.
My
We're
math
close.
Sorry, folks. My math. My
No,
Batavia school. I do better. Batavia schools did teach me better than that. Okay,
I
go
understand.
on.
Once we're over 100 years, it's just a
Yeah,
few
I know.
more added on there.
It's hard to know. 33, and no. Okay, go on there.
So Salvation Army's been around for about 155 years. And,
oh yeah, totally. Yeah, right.
About 20 years after it began, all the way over in the east end of London, we're already here in Aurora, operating here in Aurora and serving the people in the community here. So having been here over 130 years in the Aurora community, continuing to serve and trying to do the most with what we can do, with what we've been given. So always trying to serve unmet needs in the community.
Right. And I'm sure that you've been at many different sites too. Current year at Galena and Rudd, right?
Correct.
But we'll talk more about the future here. Now, Rich, my understanding, you told me you've been here 6 years. So give me a little background on yourself there.
Okay. Well, let's see. We have been here serving for 6 years. Prior to this, we came from Quincy, Illinois, where we were working with the leadership team overseeing the Salvation Army's ministry for 7 counties surrounding Quincy, Illinois. And prior to that, we were at the training college, a seminary for Salvation Army officers. But going back even 20 years before that, I've been doing youth ministry with the Salvation Army in various capacities all over the Midwest here. So love the work, love ministry, love serving youth. And my parents were Salvation Army officers. My grandparents were Salvation Army officers. So it's generationally, it's been part of what I've grown up knowing all my life. And my wife and I now, her parents are Salvation Army officers. And we just love serving in the communities and wherever our leadership determines that we're going to be, we jump right in and try to partner as much as we can and figure out our role in the community.
Did you meet your wife at one of your earlier trainings when you were
actually
in
I met
seminary
her
or something like that?
Summer camp that we both worked at.
Summer camp.
Salvation Army summer camp. We were both on. She was a volunteer leader there, and I was on staff. And a couple years later, we were engaged, and the rest is history.
Okay. That's Linnea, and I identify with her with that Swedish name. I know that's sweet. I think that's a flower too, right? Is that how that was, Linnea? I think it's a flower.
Linnea, it's a Swedish flower, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Rich, I threw this in as a bonus here. Rich is part of our Kiwanis Club in Aurora, and here is a picture that had Rich and his wife on the right there, and Rich is on the left. In the middle, on the left there is Steve Andrews, who's current president of Kiwanis, and next to Steve is our past president, Kim Groom. It was at a fundraiser at Thanksgiving time. They call it the Turkey Bowl. It's a fundraiser. It's sort of fun. So I just had to throw in that Kiwanis for those who are looking. I hope there's some Kiwanis out there looking today at this. And I had to throw that in just for a bonus. That was bonus, Rich. I forgot to tell you about that bonus coming.
No, that's okay. We got to get everybody included.
But Rich is in Kiwanis, not Kiwanis. Let's see my Kiwanis hat. But anyway, that's nothing to do with Rich's guy hat. We all wear caps. I like caps. And now with these headphones, it works pretty good. In the community, that's the key to Salvation Army, being in the community. And we have some more thoughts here. We're going to get broad here. You've been working. I'm going to get that shot here in a second. You've been working. You can discuss that a little about the canteen that you work with.
Well, we call it a canteen. A lot of people would call it a food truck or a mobile kitchen. This one in particular, the one that's up on the screen, is called the Urban Kitchen. That's one of the only in the nation that Salvation Army has. They just got this one for the Chicago metro area. And it's unique because it can prepare and serve right out of that kitchen 15,000 meals in a swipe. But it's also low enough to the ground where it can go through the viaducts down all over Chicago. So it's uniquely prepared in the urban setting. All the bells and whistles of a kitchen. It's just unbelievable. We have a smaller version of that canteen locally that we use to serve if we're called upon by the fire department, police department, any city officials that need food provided or hydration for events. Salvation Army is there and available to do that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And you also do other, disaster things. You and your wife have on a disaster coordinate team there. Where have you been with the disasters? You've been outside of our area and some in our area too.
Yeah, absolutely. We go through extensive training. It's Homeland Security approved training. It's nationally recognized critical incident stress management training. And we have these classes available through our emergency disaster services headquarters out of Elk Grove Village. And we put together local teams of individuals who want to be on call to serve out of the canteens. Calls normally don't come during the day when it's convenient. It's normally 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, a fire here, a disaster there, a flood, whatever the case may be. But we call our teams together and we go out and we serve as needed. But we're also trained to recognize whether it's emotional, spiritual care that needs to be done on the scene as well. Primarily, we're there for hydration and food, but we're also watching for other opportunities to minister to people and to speak.
Yeah, you've been at hurricanes in
Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah,
everybody recalls the hurricane that hit down there. I went down and actually drove one of these canteens into the communities that hadn't been served yet. So we were setting up our incident command down there. As soon as that was done, my wife was called out. Captain Linnea was called to be the liaison officer with the county and state representatives down in Naples, Florida. And she was there for 2 weeks. And as soon as she came home, I was deployed to Puerto Rico. Pretty devastating down there. I was the emotional spiritual care officer overseeing the team of 30 that was going out daily to serve in neighborhoods. And most recently was called to serve on the incident command team in Chicago with this pandemic and the food preparation, serving the shelters in the Chicago area, as well as door-to-door deliveries for those who are locked up and at home and can't get out. So as of 2 weeks ago, they had just surpassed 300,000 meals served by this team of individuals under the umbrella of the Salvation Army all over the city of Chicago.
Wow, that's outstanding. And we're going to talk now. We're getting back to some local things here. I'm going to show. I was just talking to this individual this afternoon here, Deputy Mayor of Aurora, Chuck Nelson, and he's at. You said this. I forgot what you said. This site was. It was what you said, Aldi grocery store.
It was the former Aldi store on West Galena.
Yeah, and you're. This is preparation for the Christmas giveaway, right?
Christmas distribution. We had over just right about 1,000 families, income qualified families in the Aurora and surrounding communities area, and we were able to provide toys and clothes for each of those kids. Represented about 3,500 kids in our area, and without the help of Angel Tree, the people who take those tags and shop for a child, those from the Salvation Army here locally are tied to an individual child. So know that you're actually shopping for a child in need who we've already screened and made sure that they were income qualified to receive Christmas joy.
Right. That's a big project too. And then at Christmas, we have the annual bell ringing. I got a few shots of some bell ringers here I'm going to bring up. Of course, they're Kiwanis bell ringers. I'm sorry. I just love my Kiwanis people. So we got some Kiwanis bell ringers. Here I got one. I'm going to put Chuck down here. This is our former president, Kim Groom. And this is Greg Meyer. And I think I got one more here somewhere. Yeah. And
those bells ringing every Christmas help us do what we do. People don't realize that change does add up. And with that, we divide that income out over the course of the months and be able to provide rent and utility assistance for families in need.
And it's Steve Beatty there. Yeah, this is big. I'll tell you, if you're doing bell ringing, try to get the early assignments. You can catch the reasoning later, but they start in, I believe, right after about Thanksgiving, right?
Register to ring. Yep, people can sign up online, pick their spot, pick their time.
Yeah, Kiwanis, I think we do it pretty early. Yeah, you can do it later too, but you know the weather. But I'll tell you, it's really a treasure that people at stores, others give you cocoa or other things that just, and maybe you might get that right gold cougar on too. I don't know about that, but maybe it's out there somewhere, right?
It's out there every year. Anonymous donor throws one in the kettle and we still don't know who it is.
Oh, it is anonymous. Okay. Right. How much are those things worth about?
It's the rate of the day. And they've been over $1,000.
Oh, really? It is pretty high though.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're going to show some other ongoing services at the Army. There's many things you do, and we're going to show a little about a family here. And COVID-19, you've helped out quite a bit here, and you want to give a little thought on some of your COVID-19 assistance?
Sure. What we have done is, because face-to-face contact we aren't able to do at this time, so our appointments for rent and utility assistance have been put on hold until that's been lifted. In the meantime, we're focusing on food and keeping people fed in the homes, whether it's children or seniors at home. We need to make sure that people have a food line made available to them. So yeah, we're definitely, we've more than doubled how many families come to our food pantry in any given day of the week, and realize that we have some partnerships with the Northern Illinois Food Bank, which has allowed us to continue purchasing food through them and receiving donations through them, as well as through our emergency disaster services out of Chicago that has connections with major food corporations that provide us with food as well in our food pantry here locally.
Yeah, and you were telling me about this earlier today, and I found out the story. We're posting it on XPian.news. The story was written by Al Benson, a little about this family, the Ramos family. You want to give us a little more update on that one and what happened there?
Oh, absolutely. We had received a message from, actually, it's John you see in the picture there, is his sister who lives in Muscatine, Iowa, had contacted the Salvation Army officer there and asked if they knew who was in Aurora, who was serving in Aurora. And so they got on the message right away and got a hold of us, because the Army's in every community. The Salvation Army's in every community. So it doesn't take long to reach out into every neighborhood. And within an hour and a half or so, we had been able to deliver food to their doorstep. The issue there was that his wife had been hospitalized. She was the first in the county, I believe, to be hospitalized with the virus. And because they had been exposed, they couldn't go out shopping. They had to be quarantined at home, and just didn't have any family members nearby to be able to go out and do that shopping for them. So we were able to grab some of the food from our food pantry and add a few more things to it and get it out to them right away.
Yeah, that's one thing I know the other day when they had the city of Aurora big food pantry video with the mayor there, that was brought up. This is, people are out of work. There's other thing. Then there's people who are restricted because of COVID-19, and this is what happened here. And they were very fortunate that the good work of the Salvation Army came through for this family. Like I said, we have a little story on that at XPian News. They can learn a little more about the Ramos family there. So that's really what the food pantry is all about. So I want to bring that little slide up right now here. Here's about your food pantry. You are on Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. till noon.
Yep, our food pantries continue to keep the hours that we had. We want to keep funneling people to the various food pantries. There's many different ones around the city.
Right.
We know of Marie Wilkinson's there, and we also have the Interfaith Food Pantry that is providing food. The more food pantries we have providing for people in the neighborhoods, the better. The easier for everyone to get to who's in need in that area. And that way the food doesn't go to waste either, because when you're dealing with produce and bread and dairy, you want it to go out as quickly as you get it in. And so we want to keep that volume moving. And so we're blessed to be able to do that. Like I said, we've more than doubled our frequency and capacity in serving. Usually in disasters, the last thing you do is provide food for people to prepare at home, because then you know that you're on your way to recovery. Well, in this case, everything is reversed, and we had to start providing food boxes right away from the very beginning. So the recovery and the end of this, when we get back to life as the new normal, it'll be interesting. But we will always have food in our food pantry. Salvation Army will always be there for emergency assistance with food, rent, utility assistance. So
yeah, you have other things: food, rent, utility assistance, and spiritual counseling. You do quite a few things there, and that's why I'm so happy to visit with you, Rich. And let's see what else we got. Like I said, I'm the producer, director, or everything here in this little operation. So we're going to talk about more assistance. Well, we did somewhat there about your assistance. And
we also, during the summer, we send kids to summer camps. We have an ACA accredited summer camp.
That's another nice thing, yeah.
Just north of our border, just over the border in Wisconsin, Salvation Army Camp Wonderland. People can look that up. Salvation Army Camp Wonderland. They'll see all the pictures, the videos. Of course, this summer they've been not able to run the summer camps, but we'll be back on the schedule for next year. People can sign up online. We even have a commercial bus. We have a bus that'll do a pickup here in front of the Salvation Army to take kids to camp.
That's a nice thing, and wow, that's a nice thing to do. They have camp. Well, many of us in Aurora know about this, some don't, but you're moving to a new location on Redwood Drive. I'm going to show a few shots here of the grand opening here. I'll just go through these real fast here, but here's one of your leadership there. This was in October, right?
Yes.
I think the groundbreaking, technically groundbreaking. And we have that. I got several here. I'm gonna just you know what? Maybe I'll put myself down. Just a second here, guys. Everybody, maybe that's technically too hard. Well, we won't do that. I was going to put myself down, but I guess we won't do it that way. I'll put up another shot here. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here was a cool thing I thought. Maybe you can explain. You see what this is, one, Rich?
Yep. This is one of the beams, one of the steel beams that's up in the corner of the chapel on the rear right-hand side. And we had everybody at the groundbreaking sign it. Some people put some scripture verses on there. And it will forevermore be located in the roof right up there. And They even put it up and mounted it with the balloon still attached to it, so everybody could see where it was at while it was still a steel frame structure. And we got some pictures of it in place, so that way that little piece of history will always remain.
That's cool. That's cool. Let me see. I got a few more here if I can find all my pictures here. Let's see what else we got here. Well, here's an interesting one I'm going to put up, and I'm going to take down that other one. You're explaining your outline to some friends here. The new building here. And,
Yep, the diagram of the current building that's up now, and it's looking great. For those who drive by, you'll see it. It looks like that. They're just finishing up the interior now, and they should be done by the second week of June with the construction side. We're planning on doing a community opening on Labor Day weekend, the end of August, beginning of September there, to be able to have our open house, ribbon cutting, all the ceremony that goes along with the opening of a new building.
Yeah, that's cool. And here's you have a lot of shots on your. I should say, go to the Aurora Facebook for the Aurora Corps, and they have a lot of photos. Here's just one of the work that they're doing inside. I thought this showed more of the work. There's other one. They're really going along quite well there, aren't you, Rich? You're moving ahead there, right?
They are continuing to work. All those subcontractors, they're all spaced out inside of there, and they have protective measures in place, and they keep on working. Electricians up on ladders and doing what they do, and so the Wegman Construction has been doing a great job of keeping all that lined up and with safety precautions and measures in place, but keeping everybody moving on this project. And the woodworking is just beautiful inside.
I know. I saw a lot of the pictures. I just couldn't throw. There's so many. You got some really nice shots on their website, on this Facebook website. Let's see what else we're going to go here. What challenges do you see for the Army with this COVID-19 and beyond, Rich?
Well, I think any nonprofit's going to realize that when something like this happens, people turn to us for answers and for assistance. And generally, our funds are being depleted very quickly as the need is so much greater. So I think, funds will be limited for many of the nonprofits in the area. Not being able to gather people together. I mean, there's all these social issues as well that come up when it comes to wellness and people being able to interact with each other. And so we're looking forward to being a place, especially here where we haven't been before, to be a true community center to gather people together and give the opportunity for relationships to be formed here, and for people to have needs met, whether they realize they have them. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes sitting down with our caseworker, they come in for food, but it might be a veteran who doesn't realize the services that are available and the support that's there for them. And so we take some time to really dig a little deeper and find out what a person's real needs are and what their struggles are, to see if we can connect them with some resources locally. And if they have a church, we encourage them to attend. If they don't, we welcome them to worship with us on a Sunday in our building. We always have that available as well.
What are some of the new opportunities or services this new building is going to offer the Army? Can you give us a little idea?
Sure. This is phase one of the building. Phase one is completely paid for and it's done, which is beautiful. It's money that's been left to us through legacies and funds that we tapped into to just focus on this phase one of this building. Phase two will include another foyer and a gymnasium and a garage for our emergency disaster service canteen, and a generator for the building so that we can continue to operate should there be a disaster. Should the power go out in the community, we'll be able to provide food. We have a commercial kitchen here, so we'll be able to provide food and feed the neighborhood, and be able to send canteens out from our location to serve mobilely around the community as well. So we know there's a lot of seniors in this neighborhood. We look forward to connecting them with kids and others that we can do some community building in that way. And Be at the Heart will be another food pantry that's available on the west side here,
Right.
and be able to assist people right from here, because we know we're on a bus line as well. So people
Okay.
who need to come, that's one of the things we made sure of, that we'd still be accessible to people who had been using our services on a regular basis.
Yeah, this is real near West Plaza. I mean, it's right next door.
Yep, right
And it's
behind.
next door to the senior, what's it, associates?
Right around the corner there. Yep.
Right. So we're pretty close to a lot of things in action there. And that's great. It's in the pantry. Will be, I assume, bigger too, right?
Absolutely. It'll be much bigger. And we have walk-in fridge and freezer in our kitchen there. So we'll be able to receive larger amounts of donations of produce and frozen food that we can give out.
Nice. Well, the website here, we have the website for the group here for our Salvation Army. You can see it goes, the little goes centralusa.salvationarmy.org/Aurora. That's IL, isn't it?
IL.
IL. So that's the address. Of course, you can get that with a Google too, but
Google search Aurora, Illinois Salvation Army. It'll bring you right to it.
Be sure to put the Illinois, though. We get
Illinois.
confused with Colorado
Correct.
quite a bit, and it's a big town too, so it's easy to get confused with that. Well, this is near the end of the interview, and I told Rich talked to me earlier today about plans and what's happening, and him and his wife, Captain Linnea, have plans in the next month or so. You want to give us a little update on those plans?
Sure. Salvation Army officers are generally appointed to the location that they're at, and anywhere between 4 and 7 years, and we just hit our 6-year mark, and we're completing the building here that's been talked about for so long. And with the completion of this building came moving orders for us to move to the Elgin community and oversee the work of the Salvation Army in the Elgin area. And believe it or not, they're working on a building project. So we're going to slide right from one right into another, and continue to serve those in greatest need in that community as well.
Of course, we got a change of guard, but I'm sure we'll have a new guard. I mean, there's not going to be a unmanned Salvation Army. We're going to have a new command coming in, right?
We do. We have Captains Joaquin and Gabriela Ronkel, who grew up in the Chicago area.
Okay.
Who, again, bilingual and able to continue the services as we've been able to do while I'm here, because many don't know it, but I'm bilingual. I spent some time in Argentina, and as a child, I learned the language there, and so we've been able to put that in practice in serving in this neighborhood. So yeah, they'll continue the work and roll right into phase 2. And part of phase 2 will be involved at a capital campaign and public awareness, and we look forward to touring people through the building.
Yeah, and that's the end of about June, you said. Is that what your thoughts are in that? When it's going to transition?
The end of June 28th will be our last day here.
Yes, I know. And I hope my Sequanans are listening. We'll have to have a party for Rich and his wife somewhere down the road. I don't know when and where, but we have to do that. Celebrate these good Kiwanians. And I just thank Rich for being with us and sharing about the ministry of the Salvation Army and what they do in Aurora and the community. And it's just been a pleasure to work with Rich over the last years here. And it's just, I'm glad he's only going to go to Elgin. That's not too far away, but he'll be missed. They really will, him and Linnea. So I just thank you, Captain Rich, for being with us. And our next opportunity, I'll have Rich still on the screen. I just love to have his smiling face there. That's it. Our next opportunities are coming up on Wednesday. We're going to have Camacho of the Jesse Torres Boxing Club and the Rock Study program. That's part I've been with to fight Parkinson's disease. And right now, both of those are on hold, but they're going to have a little sort of like a virtual fundraiser. I don't know. I'll have to hear more from Mooney how that works. Some way you take a picture when you're running or something. I don't know. Something like that. But it's going to be a good time. And Captain Rich, I just thank you for being with us. And God bless you and your wife and all the Army people. And we just love you. And so we're going to be wrapping it up here. And we just love you all. And thank you for tuning in. God bless and bye-bye.